Ladies and gentlemen, you welcome to this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Équinoxe Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Babla Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, the Fako High Court in the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon declares itself incompetent to handle the case of dead journalist Samuel Wazizi. The court rejected the second habeas corpus appeal. Today, we'll be bringing to you details in this newscast. In the meantime, journalists took to the streets in the northwest regional capital, Bamenda, and the political capital of Cameroon, Yaoundé, today, demanding for justice for journalist Samuel Wazizi. And out of the country, the president of Burundi, Pierre Nkurunziza, dies at the age of 55. He died of a heart attack. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us in this edition of the news. We're beginning right away in the Fako High Court in the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. The court has declared that it is now incompetent to handle the case of dead journalist Samuel Wazizi, who was tortured to death, according to lawyers, other sources, and information streaming into our newsroom. The journalist who died of torture is now at the center of protests in and out of the country and demands for justice coming from all quarters: civil society, political leaders, human rights organizations, and journalists are demanding for justice for Samuel Wazizi. And now the court that has been handling the case for the past close to 1 year declares itself incompetent. It rejected the second habeas corpus appeal filed in by the lawyers of dead journalist Samuel Wazizi today. Take a listen to the explanations given to us by the lead defense counsel, Barrister Kia Emmanuel.
Invoke the rule of evidence known as judicial notice to say that it recognized the statement issued by the Ministry of Defense announcing the death of Wazizi, and that in that statement it was indicated that Wazizi died. He was taken out of Buea and he died in Yaoundé, and that in that regard he believes that he held that the court in Buea do not have jurisdiction to inquire into the issues, and so on those grounds he declared the habeas corpus application inadmissible, which is a strange thing. First, the concept or the rule of judicial notice is a rule that is established under the Evidence Ordinance, Section 14.1 of the Evidence Ordinance, Chapter 62 of the Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 1958. So, in other words, the court relied on the laws of Nigeria to pass judgment in this case, whereas the Criminal Procedure Code has specifically repealed that provision of the law. If there was any fact that was known, it was the fact that Wazizi had died in August 2019, and that fact was known to the government. That fact was known to the Ministry of Defense, and we had expected that if that fact was known to the Ministry of the Defense, the State Council should have known that fact. That fact would have been brought to court, and if it were brought to court, we would have addressed it accordingly. Now, to rely on the communique from the Ministry of Defense and give a judgment without asking us to address the court on that communique flouts our rights, because any evidence that you will hold against a party, you must give that party the opportunity to react to it.
As you heard at the tail end of that extract of what the lead defense counsel in the case of Samuel Ajiekia Bunwu said to the press today, he picked out several flaws in the decision of the Fako High Court, amounting to what he qualifies as violation of the rights of the lawyers and the laws of the land. Take a listen.
The court said that because the guy was taken out of Buea on the 13th of August, as specified in the communique from the Minister of Defense, it means that at the time that we filed this second habeas corpus application on the 13th of November, Wazizi had already died in August, and in fact, Wazizi had been moved out of Buea and had died out of Buea. And so he felt that he didn't have jurisdiction. But that reasoning is faulty also, because the law on habeas corpus gives jurisdiction to the court where the person was arrested and where the person was detained. And in this case, we are saying, we have never said that Wazizi died in Buea. We have never said that he was indefinitely detained. We say he was arrested in Buea and he was last seen in Buea. The court went further to say that we should proceed, we have a right to appeal. That is one area where we also find the ruling faulty, because the right to appeal in habeas corpus, in the habeas corpus procedure, can only be exercised after a full judgment on the merits. But in this case, this is a matter in which the court takes judicial notice of a fact and declares the application inadmissible. It means that he has not looked at it on the merits. He has dismissed it on a preliminary ground. So when you dismiss on a preliminary ground, the parties are not entitled to appeal. But it will be a waste of time for us to try to appeal that kind of decision.
And journalists took to the streets today in the northwest region of the country, notably in the town of Bamenda and also in the nation's political capital, demanding for justice for journalist Samuel Wazizi, who was detained incommunicado and later declared dead by the Ministry of Defense in a press statement after Équinoxe Television revealed that the journalist was dead since the 17th or since August 2019, and the communique or the press statement of the Ministry of Defense came with the precision that he died on the 17th of August 2019, and for close to a year the journalist was not seen. His whereabouts was not known by his lawyers, journalists, family members and other persons. And of course the journalists took to the streets in Yaoundé and in Bamenda demanding for justice for journalist Samuel Wazizi. Other organizations, human rights organizations, national and international organizations of journalists are also demanding for justice, and not only justice but the corpse of Samuel Wazizi, which until now has not been seen. And of course the case continues, and the Fako High Court today, the habeas corpus appeal of the lawyers or filed in by the lawyers was simply rejected, but the lawyers remain determined to get justice in this case. And another journalist who went missing since the 15th of May 2019, Kingsley Fomunyo Njoka, has been found. According to the Mandela International Foundation, an international non-governmental organization, he is at the State Defense Secretariat, and the organization indicates that he was abducted. This is the word used by the organization. He was abducted on the 15th of May in his home in Bonaberi, Douala 4 subdivision by armed men, later on identified as state workers. We will be talking about this in the second part of this newscast. Time for us to talk about the strike of some teachers in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. And this strike is one of the consequences of the coronavirus pandemic, and some teachers have gone on a sit-in strike action in front of the Ministry of Basic Education in Yaoundé, and they face police repression in that protest move, and they urge the minister to ensure that errors are corrected and recruitment criteria respected. We have details in this report.
These disgruntled teachers regret frustration meted on them by security forces as they peacefully turn out to strike at the Ministry of Basic Education, demanding explanation of what went wrong in the recent recruitment of 3,000 teachers. They denounce the irregularities that surrounded the said recruitment. They are castigating in particular the non-respect of the seniority criterion. That was one of the recruitment conditions.
Des noms dont l'âge est de 22 ans.
There is no respect for the criteria which were repeatedly mentioned by the minister, including the KPM seniority and age.
Ils ont 15 ans. Ça voudrait dire qu'ils ont entré à l'ENIEJ à 14 ans.
To make their voices heard, several of them observed on June 8, 2020, a sit-in strike in front of the Central Regional Delegation of Basic Education. This demonstration was initially to take place in front of the Ministry of Basic Education, but it was prevented because of a strong police presence.
On ne sait pas pourquoi on a besoin de toute une armée pour venir devant des mères d'enfants, nous frustrer. Nous sommes là tous, nous voulons causer avec notre ministre.
Basic Education Minister had indeed promised that priority will be given to holders of the oldest diploma and those whose age was approaching 40 years, age limit for recruitment. Someone has a KPM since 2010 and is not recruited, while people who obtained their diploma in 2018 were recruited. These disgruntled chalk bearers urge the Basic Education Boss to take into account their grievances and to correct the found errors.
Innocent as a reporting there, 3 persons have narrowly escaped death in an accident that occurred earlier today around the Douala International Airport. A container fell off from a truck on a motorbike. Details with Manjik and Gabriel.
These are the 3 lucky persons who came out untouched in an accident which occurred at the airport tunnel this Tuesday in Douala.
I was right beside the corner, and this camion wanted to touch those people that have collided. So upon doing that, this container ran towards my direction. So I managed to jump out of the bike with my passengers so as to escape. I was carrying 2 passengers. Nothing happened to any of them.
It was in an attempt for the lorry transporting a container dodging away from a car that the container fell on this commercial motorcycle that was on the same lane. The private car, reports say, was on top speed as well as the lorry. The occupants of the commercial motorcycle still remain in shock, missing out on this accident.
I can only give thanks to God because it was not our effort, but it was God. So as this container was coming, I happened to see how it was coming. So I hit the bike on this corner and we managed to escape through this direction. Upon doing that, the container hit my bike and my bike is under here.
The lorry transporting the container ran away out of fear. Public security officers later came to the scene of the incident to transport the private car that was destroyed and enable circulation to flow again normally.
Now, in news concerning or directly related to coronavirus, households in Cameroon say they have witnessed a significant fall in their living standards as a result of the impact of the coronavirus. And this is contained in a report from the National Institute of Statistics carried out on the effect of the coronavirus on households across the country. The National Institute of Statistics investigated the impact of the coronavirus on households across the country, and this is compiled in this report compiled by For Me Armstrong Standard.
With the number of COVID-19 cases rising in Cameroon, households across the country are feeling the negative impact, according to a study from the National Institute of Statistics. Carried out between April the 26th and May 10, 2020, the study revealed that over 62.7% of households in Cameroon have witnessed a fall in their living standard. Though most of the families sampled say they had their jobs maintained, they recognize a drop in general income to about 65%. As a result of the COVID-19, several Cameroonians, more especially women, now depend on support or assistance from loved ones and family members, according to the report from the National Institute of Statistics. To be able to survive, some households in Cameroon have adopted resilient measures, such as stocking of foodstuff to limit outings and scarcity. But the study says only 35% of Cameroonian households dispose the means to stock foodstuff. To see general conditions ameliorated during the COVID-19 period, some households have opted to distribute toiletries, face masks, hand sanitizers and basic consumer goods to more vulnerable families. Other households in Cameroon hold that the government should facilitate access to basic consumer goods, portable water, face masks, financial support to vulnerable households, and/or a quick negotiation with private enterprises to stop an eventual salary decrease or any plan to lay off workers by such enterprises.
And officials of government schools in the Nyon-Kele division in the central region of Cameroon have expressed the limited number of classrooms to contain the required number of students. And of course, they are indicating that this is one of the major difficulties that they are facing in their efforts to keep a school going, pupils and students learning and safe from the coronavirus. Immaculate Fogo reports.
At a time when Cameroon has already registered over 8,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19, the population of the Nyon-Kele division in the central region of Cameroon are yet to effectively respect government's anti-COVID-19 measures. This is a situation in some school milieux, notably at government school Ezeka, where the number of classrooms available cannot contain all the students at the same time. Government school Ezeka has the highest number of students in the Nyon-Kele division. We need 42 classrooms in order that social distancing measures can be respected, but we have just visited major road junctions to ensure that government's anti-COVID-19 measures are respected. We are still facing difficulties trying to sensitize the people in the transport sector. We will continue sensitizing everyone until they are able to start respecting the measures. The administrative authority of Ezeka says the repression phase is meant to reduce the spread of the virus in his area of command.
President John Magufuli has declared that Tanzania is free from COVID-19 thanks to prayers of citizens. He told worshippers in a church in the capital, Dodoma, that coronavirus has been defeated and eliminated thanks to God. The government has stopped publishing data on the number of coronavirus cases in the country, and in the last publication there were 509 cases and 21 deaths in Tanzania. The World Health Organization has expressed concerns over the government's strategy on COVID-19. And in one of our lead stories, the president of Burundi, Pierre Nkurunziza, is no more. A government statement said he died yesterday at the age of 55 from a cardiac arrest. He has been in power since 2005. Nkurunziza was the chairman of the ruling party. Now, out of the African continent, thousands pay last respect to the man who became the symbol for social injustice in the United States of America. The funeral of African-American George Floyd attracted thousands of mourners at a church in Houston, Texas, the city where he grew up. Details with Euronews.
Hours earlier, thousands of mourners had been drawn to the church in Houston, where Floyd grew up. They all queued up patiently in the stifling Texas heat outside the Fountain of Praise Church to pay their last respects. All of the mourners were required to wear masks because of the coronavirus pandemic. And it was a chance for them to say goodbye.
You know, it feels like, you want a little bit more time to just spend there and just reverence and just be around him, just kind of have a moment with him. But it is so short, but I'm definitely glad that I came.
You're seeing people here, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Middle Eastern, European, everybody's here, man, in peace, and to celebrate a life that should not have been lost, and to see the American spirit in action.
Floyd's death 2 weeks ago continues to stoke protests in America and beyond over racial injustice. Peaceful protests over the death of George Floyd have continued in New York. More than 10,000 people have been arrested around the country, but protesters in recent days have been overwhelmingly peaceful.
And the protest turned sour in Brussels, where the protesters met with stiff resistance from forces of law and order. Get to Euronews.
Fending off missiles in central Brussels. Riot police dividing a number of small groups around the Porte de Namur metro station. Inflamed tensions. Officers also using tear gas to try to dispel people who were protesting against police brutality. A jewellery shop window smashed in the violence. Belgian Prime Minister Sophie Wilmès tweeted to say that the cause of the Black Lives Matter demonstration is just, but her regret that there wasn't an alternative. Earlier in the day, before the clashes, peaceful protesters climbed the statue to Belgium's colonial King Leopold II, waving the flag of the Democratic Republic of Congo. His rule oversaw the deaths of an estimated 10 million people in what was then the Belgian Congo. Murderer, they cried. The protest started calmly with a permitted and planned demonstration sparked by solidarity for the movement in the United States. The death of George Floyd likened to those of Adil, Mehdi and others in Belgium who died during run-ins with the police.
I have sons, I am a mother, and I am here to support the black movement. Women are dying, not physically, but because of the children, what their children are going through.
We are still oppressed by the system, because even if you want if you're looking for a job or just in school with the teachers, they are always gonna act differently towards people of color.
It's a worldwide problem. So we are not here only for the Europe person, we are here for all person in the whole world.
Black lives matter! Black lives matter!
The Brussels protest is one of many to take place across Europe. An international movement is taking hold, demanding change.
George Floyd has been laid to rest next to his mother in Houston, Texas, United States of America, and the former Minneapolis police officer at the center of the George Floyd affair has been charged with second-degree murder and manslaughter for pressing his knee into the neck of the African-American for more than 10 minutes. Derek Chauvin was before judges today in a quick court appearance by a video link from the maximum security prison where he is detained. He could be released as he awaits trial. The bail without condition has been set at $1.5 or $1.25 million. Talking Points is up next. Our guest is joining us from Cameroon's political capital, Yaoundé. He's a human rights expert and the executive director of the Mandela International Foundation, Jean-Claude Fokno. Fokno, thanks for joining us today.
Équinoxe Tv.
You're welcome. Now, you published a statement on the whereabouts and the situation of another journalist who has disappeared from public view since the 15th of May 2020, and you say that the journalist Kingsley Fomunyo Njoka was abducted. Is that? Kingsley Fomunyo Njoka is a journalist who disappeared from public view, and according to the Mandela International Foundation, he was abducted at his residence in Bonaberi, Douala 4 subdivision on the 15th of May 2020, and he is now at the State Defense Secretariat and the executive director of the Mandela International Foundation, Jean-Claude Fokno. Fokno is joining us from the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, today after he issued a statement on the whereabouts of the missing journalist. Jean-Claude.
Yes.
All right. You indicated in your statement.
Yes, I'm getting you very well. Get you very well.
Right. You indicated in your statements that the journalist was abducted. Is that?
Yes. We are talking about journalist Mr. Kingsley Fomunyo Njoka, who work with a local radio station, that's Magic FM, and is also a writer for a popular Catholic bi-weekly magazine, Le Fort Camerounais. So he was whisked off in front of his residence at Bonaberi on May 15, around 6 a.m. By 4 incognito security officers, among them a lady, without the knowledge of his family, and above all, his wife, who was lying seriously ill in bed that morning. So, first of all, he was, after removing him at 6 a.m., the undercover armed officer, who were later identified as Cameroonian police official, returned few minutes after and searched his home thoroughly and enforcing his seriously ill wife to assist them during the systematic search. So, then from the police station, the police headquarters in Bonajo, he was transferred the same day to the Center for Military Intelligence, that is the CRM, to the Ministry of Defense in Yaoundé, where he suffered serious acts of torture, cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment during incommunicado detention for about 23 days before being taken to the Central Judicial Research Service and the SED, that's the Secretariat of Defense.
Jean-Claude, you are a human rights expert, and I want to understand something. You said that he was picked up by officials of the National Armed Forces, but why do you say that he was abducted? Why do you use that word abducted instead of arrested?
Abducted because yes, we say it was abducted because it is clearly an illegal arrest without any warrant or title of justice, following by arbitrary detention, which is a real violation of the right to liberty and is in violation of national law and international standards to which the Republic of Cameroon has freely subscribed. That's why we say that it's an adoption, because it is totally illegal.
All right. Now, where is Kingsley Fomunyo Njoka? Where is the journalist as we speak now?
Yes, for a moment, the journalist is still at the Secretariat of Defense. That's the Central Judicial Research Service of the state. So yesterday at about 9:30 a.m., he has exchanged with some lawyers, mainly Barrister Amunga Tani, accompanied by two other baristas. They discussed with him in the office of his investigator, as said, and that for the moment, 3 laptops, says alongside his Android phone, are currently being searched by his investigator at the Central Judicial Research Service in order to ascertain the veracity of allegations brought against him. So the problem is that we ask the government that he should be immediately released, because we cannot understand the fact that someone is arrested by the police and handed to the military. The military is not the judicial officials, so we cannot understand. It's the same thing that we discovered with Samuel Wazizi, who was arrested by police and handed over to military. This should stop. We cannot understand.
We're sorry that we're going to be ending here. Unfortunately, we could not continue to get more information from our guests joining us from Yaoundé. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us.